Hey everybody, welcome back into Pritches Get Stitches. Glad you found us. Glad you're here. Holly, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm a little frazzled. I laid in bed a little bit too long today and then had to rush to get here because we have a guest. And so I didn't want to be, I'm late to everything. You know that. We're okay with that. But I don't want to waste somebody else's time. So frazzled, trying to catch up.
Yes, Greg. We are 15 minutes late and I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good.
Normally I show up 15 minutes late, so.
And she actually showed up on time. We were supposed to start on time. She showed up at that time. You and I were just sitting here on the podcast like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Holly walks in. So Greg, we have Greg Brown with us. Greg we went to high school together. I think you graduated a year after me though.
2002.
Yeah. So I graduated 01. And funny enough, you married a friend of mine from newspaper when we wrote on
from
the
newspaper. Yeah.
So were you guys high school sweethearts or did you get together after high school?
No, we actually didn't even know each other in high school. We met my senior year in college.
Okay.
Which is
same
wild,
college then? You guys were at the same college or just ran into each other back home?
No, back home. One of my best friends, he was dating her sister, and then they introduced me, and then we didn't hit it off at all. And then like a year later, we started dating, and we've been together for 17 years now.
That's awesome. Your wife is great. I mean, I've seen her. I think I only saw her. I've seen her maybe once or twice since high school. And one time we were at one of your arena football games you were playing.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. My company at the time was sponsoring the team, and so we would get tickets, and we were there. And I walked by and I saw your wife, and I was like, "Wait, what are you doing here? Like, good to see you." And she's like, "Oh, Greg is playing." So it was pretty cool. I mean, she was great. She was one of my best friends there. At that time, I think she graduated a year before me.
Well, yeah, she graduated in 01. So she graduated the same year, I think. His year.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was pretty dope, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, 40. I mean, Holly's a little older than us.
Shut it.
I'm 39, so I'm still holding on. I got a couple more months. I turned 40 in October, so.
Well, I celebrated my 4th anniversary of my 39th birthday this year too. So
there you go. That's how you're supposed to do it. Just keep repeating. It's all in the mind,
So just looking at us, Greg. I mean, you got both of us here on the screen. You know me. You don't know my sister. I mean, who looks older?
Both of y'all look about like 27, 28, something like that. It's a tie.
Answer.
I like Greg. We're gonna have a 3-hour show with Greg. We like Greg.
I know, basically. Compliments all day, bro.
Yeah. She, Holly does look pretty good for 43. I'd have to say she's got.
She does. I wouldn't have guessed 43.
What would you have guessed?
Oh man, like I said, 29.
It's not gonna hurt my feelings. Be honest though. I know.
No. I would have said like mid 30s, honestly, like early mid 30s. Yeah, you're holding it together, girl. And I think the hairstyle like takes years off too, so that's pretty legit.
There we go.
No grays.
Really long hair. No grays yet. Well, that's a lie. I do have grays, but you can't see them. But I found one.
At least she has hair, right, Greg?
Hey, there you go, bro. Like my stuff started to go. I had to start getting my hair cut super low. It's just out of nowhere too. Like I don't even know what happened. It was just one day I had a head full of hair, next month I didn't. And then I was like, it's already started. I'm not even in my 40s yet, and it's already starting.
Yeah, well, I mean, you eventually get there, and I was telling my son the other day I had my hat up like this. I told my son that's like some people's hairlines of people I know, like they got their hair way back here, and it's their foreheads become like a 5 head and a 6 head, and like, hey, man,
at that point, man, you just gotta let it go, bro. Yeah, you gotta let it go, man.
They're growing it long, like combing it, and I'm like, bro, I mean, your forehead's a little
the
too
worst
big,
is when
bro.
they're growing it long on the sides, man, on the sides and the back, and the top is just it's not doing anything. You're like, bro, you just gotta let it go, man. Just let it go.
There comes the time. Just gotta let it go.
I mean, Scott, you held on to yours way longer than you should have.
Listen,
I'm just gonna put that out there.
So I first shaved my head when Lexi was born because she was bald. So I did it out of like pity, I think. And
was bald for 2 years, poor girl.
Lexi was bald for a while, and then it just came in one day. She was totally bald, and then her hair just came in, and it was just like a curl poof. It was crazy, like I don't even know, like a afro. So what I was looking for.
Yours didn't come back,
and mine didn't come back. Well, so then I grew it back, and I'm like, okay. And one day, it's kind of funny story. One day I'm like doing the dishes, I had my head down. And my wife took a picture and, whatever. I looked at the picture and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is really bad.
I think she posted it on Facebook.
She posted, well, I told her, so I didn't have Facebook at the time. So I told her, I said, hey, take a poll. Just throw it up there. Hey, does Scott need to shave his head? Take a poll. And actually, one of my other sisters got mad at my wife for posting that. And they like got into it and friended each other. And
really?
they're all good. They're all good now. It was Heather Heather was like, she was sticking up for me because I was her baby. So Val was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to take that. So she unfriended her, and everybody's fine now. Everybody's fine now. But it was just funny because it was me. It was me. I was the one who was like, I need to put it out there. It is the time to go. And then after that, I shaved it, and it's been
because it was real thin. Real thin.
Man. I just keep mine super low. Like I just cut it. Like you can see some hair, but yeah, it's pointless at this time, man. Sucks.
I feel like you always wear hats too. Like everything I saw on your Facebook page is all hats.
Yeah, I wear hats all the time. Yeah, all the time. Like I love hats. Hats.
Yes. Same with me. All right, Holly. So we're going to jump into what are we eating? You gave me two options. You said, hey, you've had that Dr. Pepper cotton candy that you bought at the store for a while. Maybe we should try that. Or we can try tuna in oil, because I have that at my house too. And I chose the Dr. Pepper cotton candy because honestly, we had bacon soda last time. We've had ranch dressing soda. Did you ever try those sodas, Greg? Any of those?
Which one?
Like the weird
flavor?
Sodas.
Bacon flavor?
No.
Ranch dressing flavor?
There's a bacon flavor one? No, it made my stomach turn right when you said it.
It made our stomach turn when we drink it. Like I love bacon, did not love bacon soda. Yeah.
We bought a bunch of flavors for my kids to try, like with their friends, and anyways, there was like enchilada, there was buffalo wing, black olive, sweet corn. I mean, just all these flavored sodas. Disgusting. All
those sound disgusting, man. I saw it wasn't a soda, but it was like they're like candy flavored coffees now. Like they're candy, like Twix, Snickers. I'm like, it's just
for a second horrible. You got me excited. I heard candy and coffee, and then I was thinking coffee flavored candy, but you said candy flavored coffee. I saw the Snickers one the other day, and I'm like, I just
Snickers. Think they're taking it too far, man. They're taking it too far.
Right. Yeah, that's not too much for me.
Yeah, it's too sweet, man. And
although I do love. Do you ever have affogato, which is coffee with ice cream?
No, I haven't. That sounds, but I usually drink cold coffee.
I think that would be cold,
some ice cream over it. I mean, so what you do is, it's an Italian thing that they serve like in a lot of restaurants. And usually in Italy, they use the vanilla gelato. But I like to throw in like sea salt caramel truffle, and then you do a hot coffee over it. And then like, it doesn't melt the ice cream through, but it's like creamy, delicious. And then at the bottom, it has melted like all of the chocolate and the caramel. So then you get to scoop that out. But I haven't had any of that since, my health journey started. So
that's good. So you can have it a little bit, you just can't rely on it. It can't be like an everyday type thing,
So here's the thing though, like when it comes to ice cream, I don't have willpower or moderation. So I can't have that at my house. I can't go. No, we talked a little bit about this last week. Like I can't go to a ice cream shop and be like, I'll take a kid's scoop like that. I'm like, I'll take 12 scoops. I have these 2 quarts I'm purchasing. Like ice cream is my all-time favorite food. So that's just not one I can have at the house. So affogatos are currently off the menu.
We're the same way. We're my daughter and I love like the cookies and cream ice cream and like with syrup all on top of it. So we'll get like a tub of it, and then her and I will kill that probably like in 2 days. And then I'm like, all right, we can't do this. Can't do this anymore this week.
In our family, we have what's called a Pritchard scoop. We have a normal scoop, which is like what normal people eat. And then a Pritchard scoop is like 3 scoops in one. And that's like one of our scoops. So Scott will get ice cream with like 5 Pritchard scoops.
Yeah.
Legit.
So yeah, we.
So my dad owned an ice cream store in the Colleen Mall way back in the day. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Wrestlers, I don't know. I mean, you were in Colleen for a while. Wrestlers ice cream it was, I think I was probably 8 or 9 when he sold it. So that's just been our life ever since, man. Like
legit. Ice cream family. Yeah. That's like the best. That's the best thing as a kid, though.
He owned a ice cream store, and then he bought a cookie store. So we were fat little kids running around, fat and happy.
So the cookie store in Temple, the ice cream store in Colleen, and then he had a yogurt place down in Bryan.
A yogurt place like in Bryan. So we did that for a while. That's legit,
man.
Imagine growing up with that.
I know. That's just how you want to live as a kid. It's like ice cream for breakfast, ice cream for dinner.
That's how I want to live it as an adult. Let's be honest. I just can't live that way with 43. You hit 43 and everything, or 40 and everything goes downhill. So
it's like things tend to stick a little bit more. Like we still smash donuts and ice cream and stuff like every single week. So I don't let that stuff go. Just donuts every Saturday.
And I always tell Scott, like I never like when I quote unquote diet. I don't actually diet because I never cut anything out. I just have to say, like, if I want this, did I work out today? And if I worked out today, then I allow myself to have a small amount, But if I didn't work out, then, hey, you don't get to reap the benefits or the rewards.
Yeah, you're right. I know some people, they'll fall into the trap kind of like, well, I earned it today. I worked out so hard, like, but it still has to kind of be like, you still got to kind of watch it a little bit because most people don't burn as many calories during the workout as they think. Like, it's like, oh, my watch said, it's like if you use any type of tracker, watch, app, and it just understand that it's completely wrong. Like none of them actually track the right
but
stuff.
But when I go on a 3-mile run, it says I burn like 1,200 calories. So surely that's.
Yeah, it'll depend. He said, but the watch says Apple told me. No,
it's 1,200. Said 1,200 calories, so I'm sticking to it.
That's what you're going with. Hey, I love it, man. Hey, it's all about what you believe. You know what I'm saying? Believe it and achieve it.
Right. That's right. All right. So as we pull out this Dr. Pepper cotton candy, obviously it's a good one today. Got a couple crappy ones, so we got a good one today. Greg, what's the worst thing you've ever eaten in your life? Because for me, if you go back and you listen. One of the worst things I've ever had was tamale soup, green beans with cat hair. So that was one of the worst things I've ever eaten.
Cat hair. Okay.
Cat hair on the green beans. So
what would be protein on it?
Yeah. What would be the worst thing you've ever had?
Oh man, mine's super simple, man. Spinach. Like I cannot eat cooked spinach at all. Like, yeah, I can eat it raw. But if you cook it, it's like it looks like this soggy, sloppy mess, and I physically cannot eat it. Like I
don't
just
yeah. I don't like spinach if it's like sauteed up and like people are like, oh, it's really good. And that's all it is. But if it's like in a dish, like with chicken or whatever, then it's like, okay, I can handle that. But I'm like you, like any type of green like that. I used to date a guy and I went to meet his parents and his mom made dinner and she served collard greens. That was rough because I didn't want to be a dick and not eat it. And it was so
were they
hard
soggy?
for me. They were soggy.
They were like soggy? Yeah, you got to get some good collard greens.
Yeah, no, they were soggy and watery. That was my only experience with collard greens. Yeah. But the worst thing I've ever had, aside from the collard greens, was the Marmite. Yes. Scott and I tried Marmite on an episode, and
you should try it. It's delicious. It kind
of what is Marmite?
I don't even know. I don't even know. I just put it in my mouth, and
it's a yeast spread. That's what she said. It's a yeast extraction.
Now you lost me.
Yeast extract.
Yeah.
From like beer. It's almost like Vegemite that the Australians eat, but this is Marmite. And then they use it as a savory snack. So they like spread it on bread or you can make a drink out of it. Like, but it was
in what country?
UK. It was so awful.
Sounds
It was
disgusting.
like horrible. But yeah.
The name doesn't even sound good. It's like, you want some Marmite? No, I don't. It doesn't even sound appetizing.
I didn't even know what it was. Like she's like, hey, I got Marmite. I've never even really heard of Vegemite. I'm like, okay, whatever. And it spread like Nutella and it kind of looked like Nutella. And so that my brain was thinking it was supposed to be. And so I take this bite and I'm like, that was the worst thing I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
I physically couldn't chew. Like my body would not chew it. It was like I tried and it was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. That's like exactly how I feel with spinach. The spinach is like, even thinking about it, I can smell it. Like I'm like I physically I can't eat it like at all. I can't put it in my mouth.
Collard greens are similar to spinach.
No, you gotta have somebody like, so my mom like cooks like real Southern food, right? And so like her collard greens are like legit. They're not soggy. They have the neck bone, and it's like we got to get you some one day. And you're gonna fall in love with real collard greens. You had a bad experience with them.
I did, and they were so watery and like no flavor, and it was so hard.
Yeah, you got to run into somebody that knows. I mean, my mom, like, she literally she breaks them up, cooks them from scratch. Like, it's legit, man. Bacon pieces in there. Makes life amazing, man.
I'll have to try it out one day then.
Legit.
Never had collard greens. All right. In the meantime, I'm going to eat some cotton candy. Dr. Pepper cotton candy. I mean, it's got to be good, right?
3, 2, 1.
Got to be good. It's good.
A little bit of a Dr. Pepper flavor.
Does it taste like Dr. Pibb or does it taste like Dr. Pepper? That's a big difference.
I don't know that it tastes like Dr. Pepper so much, though.
I mean, it's close.
It's close.
But there is, Greg said something. There's a difference between Mr. Pibb and Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, I could see that it's Dr. Pepper. I mean, it's okay. Would I buy it again? Probably not.
Yeah.
Okay, but we've got to wait a second because Scott's got to go give that to his children or he'll eat that whole bag.
Yes, I will.
Here and talk.
I will, and that's what I'm down. I'll talk about it here in a minute, but just real quick, the point, Mr. Pibb and Dr. Pepper, that's like a main theme of our show. And Greg, I did a taste test the other day. I did get a Mr. Pibb, and it definitely is not Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, there's like a small difference.
But we're gonna do one day. I don't know, it'll be on the show or we'll do it separate video, but we're going to do a taste test, and we're going to see how good. Remember when we were kids and they had the Pepsi taste test, Greg, and you at the mall and you like which one's Coke, which one's Pepsi.
Yeah.
So we're going to get them all. We're going to get Dr. Thunder. We're going to get Dr. B from HEB. We're going to get Dr. K from Kroger, and then Mr. Pibb and Dr. Pepper, and see if we can actually decipher which one's the real deal.
Yeah, I actually have a small judgment on people when I walk in their house and I see like the alternates. Like I'm just like, what kind of human are you, really? It's like I automatically can't trust you. Like, you know.
I went out to a restaurant the other night with my cousin, and she asked for Coke, and the lady says, "Well, we have Pepsi on, the fountain, but we have Coke in a can." So she's like, "No, I'm fine. I'll stick with water." I was like, "Do you have Dr. Pepper or Mr. Pibb?" And she was like, "We're in the South. We have Dr. Pepper." I was like, "I was just making sure," because when I used to live in Utah and I'd say, "Do you guys have Dr. Pepper?" And they'd bring me a Mr. Pibb. And I'm like, "This is not Dr. Pepper." And they're like, "It's the same." I'm like, "No, you've lost my business.
Don't you ever in your life."
Right.
Exactly.
Can't be trusted. Okay. Real quick, let me take this out to my kids so they can enjoy it and I don't need it all.
He said, so you can't. That's that's some self-control right there to like just give it away so you don't overconsume. It's pretty legit.
Well, when we were sitting here talking, I said, "Dr. Pepper." He said, "No." I said, "Well, let's just try it, and then you can take it out to the kids because you'll sit here and eat it." And he's like, "All right, we'll try it, and then I'll take it out." So I'm like, "All right."
That makes sense.
Yeah, and they love, because Scott is like anything sugar, he's down for, and I'm kind of opposite. I'm more of a salty than sweet, but
I actually like Scott. When you have them mixed together, like I used to be like a chocolate fiend, like all the time, like, and I had to stop because it started hurting my teeth a little bit, but I still love some good chocolate, like you said earlier, like Nutella, chocolate donuts. Like I'll still smash it, but it has to be like few and far between.
There's some good candy. Do you like dark chocolate or milk chocolate, or either chocolate? It doesn't matter.
Definitely milk chocolate. Dark chocolate is like when I feel like I'm trying to be healthier, like like I won't just eat it because if I had to choose, I'm definitely going milk chocolate.
There's a delicious, if you ever needed something good, sweet and salty, it's by Sanders, and they make a milk chocolate and a dark chocolate caramel truffle with sea salt. So it's got the sea salt on top, and it's like this good gooey caramel in the middle. I can't get that though, because when I get those, it's like I'm going to have one, and then it comes in like a jar, and then like in 2 days, I'm like, I only had one, but it's like all gone. Like, what happened? Where'd it go? And I live alone, so I can't blame anybody else.
I'm like that with those. I'm like that with those. I don't even know what brand they are, but they come in like that fancy looking bag, and they're like the chocolate balls. But like when you bite into them, it has like all the. Oh wow, yeah, there you go. Like I didn't even know the name. I just see the bag, and I'm like, I want those. Yeah, and I always get like the red bag, which is like the milk chocolate.
Oh no, you're talking Lindor. Lindor. I thought you meant the line.
Oh, Lindor.
Lindor individually wrapped. Those are delicious.
I do have a client downtown. Yeah. I have a client downtown Dallas.
She knows the whole thing, the calorie count and everything.
For sure.
I have a client downtown Dallas. Every time I go see him, they've got Lindor chocolates, and before I it's like you have to ring a bell. Like you get there, you ring the bell, the silver bell at the desk, and somebody will come out. And before I do that, I always like load up my pockets with the Lindor chocolates, and then I ring the bell, and then as I'm leaving, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll grab a chocolate, yeah, no problem. So I walk out with like 5 or 6 instead of just one. But I'm not gonna lie, I took that cotton candy out there, and I did take another bite. Because
all you get.
You're supposed to just give it away, Scott.
Oh, let's just take a little bite.
I'm surprised you didn't shove the whole thing in your mouth.
Thought you had some will. I was just congratulating you on all your willpower, man. And you went out there and
he was like, "That's so good."
Like
it was like I had to taste it again. I tasted it one more time. Come on here and be like, okay, I probably won't buy it again, but I needed that second
just to make sure,
just to be sure that I wouldn't buy it again. If I would, maybe I would. Oh man. Okay, Holly. Fun fact of the day. Let's get there.
All right. So fun fact of the day today. So apparently the lottery was super high again, the billions and all of that good stuff this week. I had a few friends like, oh, I'm going to go buy tickets. And, I shared with them, Scott, like when we had, what was it, a couple months ago, I guess it was like $1 billion. And you and I both went and bought tickets. And so I bought 30 tickets. And of the 30, I got one number correct on all 30. So I was like, that's a waste of money. So anyway, then I started thinking about like the lottery and gambling. And so I wondered about casino slot machines. Like, why do they use the specific symbols they use? Because you would think if it's a cash payout, it would be like a $sign or something. So I Googled it and learned that
of course
I'm a big nerd, Greg. This is like what I do. So that's
the same thing I would have done too. I would have done it too.
She probably has like a whole document that she's like texted up and typed up and like, okay, so when I talk about casinos, this is what I'm going to talk about. Like, that's just, she's been to school for like, since she graduated, she's gone to college. So
a
like,
lot.
Yeah.
Legit.
Nonstop. Okay. So casino slot machines, so before the fruit slot machines, they did have slot machines that had like cash symbols on them, like gold bars or whatever, silver bars. But in 1902, cash payouts from slot machines were actually banned. So they had to come up with a new symbol or something to get people to still spend their money on them. And so they changed it to fruit symbols. And the fruit symbols represented the type of prize they would get. So instead of money, they would get candy and bubble gum.
Oh,
and
wow.
so if you got grape, it was you got grape candy or grape bubble gum,
I would be
cherry.
there.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't want to go too much in depth. So that was just the little fun fact that I saw that it was like people were spending. How much money did they? I mean, I guess back
They were
in
spending money for
1902,
candy.
probably wasn't a lot, but yeah, they could have just gone to the store and bought the candy. But I guess it's the whole feeling of the win. Like people don't care what they've actually won as long as they win. So who knows how many pennies they put into that slot machine to win?
I'm like the same type of. I would hope so. If I'm getting fruit, it better be pennies. Like, you know, I'm not putting any more than that, but I do like the same sort of like nerd, like rabbit hole type things with things like that. Cause like, I think it's like how the brain, like, have you ever watched a movie and it's like getting to like the really, really important part and then like it freezes or pauses or something like that. And you go, like you start to panic or you're like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And then so slot machines are built in the same way. Like, so you have that thing of like, what's coming next? What's coming next? It's just like social media. Like, that's why they make like a scroll feature. Yeah. So like, yeah, man, they're just tricking us all day. To turn us mindless.
Very true. See, and I'm the type though, and I don't watch like movies unless it's James Bond, and that's just really because like I grew up watching those with my dad. So I watch documentaries because with my ADHD, watching movies is really hard for me. I like get distracted. I don't know, I forget I'm watching a movie. I start reading an article and then I'm like, what's happening? What's going on? Yeah. I have to rewind. So a 2-hour movie is a 6-hour movie. Like I don't go to theaters. I don't do all of that. So I just do documentaries because then I don't have to actually watch. I don't need to see if somebody gave somebody a look or there was some sort of nuance or something that you have to watch for in a movie. Documentary, I can just listen and learn. And learning is my favorite thing to do. So there we go. There you
Legit.
go. Perfect. Where's your nerd comment? You always nerd me out.
Nerd.
There it is.
That is true. You did just sign up to go back to college again. So
I did. I'm excited.
Greg, she's graduated like 7 times, just so you know. And
what are you studying this time?
This time I'm going for a master's in Homeland Security with an emphasis in counterterrorism. Because it just sounds interesting. Like I was
about to say.
I
was like Jack
no career
Ryan.
aspirations. Yeah, no career aspirations with it. I just want to learn and write the papers. I'm so excited to write the papers. Super.
Yeah, that's where you lost me at because I'm not writing any papers. I'm good for one page, maybe a paragraph. After that, yeah, it's downhill.
I mean,
like the amount of research you get to do though for one paper.
ChatGPT can write it for you.
I don't need ChatGPT.
Yeah, there is that.
I'll outright ChatGPT.
So she's going to do that for the next little bit, and then she's going to go. The next time her student loans are due, she's going to go back to school again. And probably go to law school. And then after that, she's going to go be a psychologist. And then after that, like, who knows? We'll see.
I'm hoping by the time I'm done with this one, the ABA will have an accredited law school online. Right now, they don't. You can't get a law degree in an online environment that the ABA will recognize. So yeah, I can't go sit in a classroom. Like that would drive me nuts. That would be as bad as sitting in a theater. That's why when I went to A&M, I didn't last very long at A&M because you had to actually go to class. And well, first of all, most of the time I was hungover and I would schedule like a 7 a.m. class. Like, no, I'm good for this.
I thought that too.
Yeah. I went one semester and I showed up 3 days to my 7 a.m. class and that was on the test days. Needless to say, I didn't pass that one. So every other semester at A&M, I was on academic probation. So, I'd have a 4.0 and then the next semester we'd go drinking. And then so they'd call me in and say, hey, you had a 2.1. This semester and you have to maintain a 2.5. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So, hey guys, I can't drink this semester. Like 4.0 again. Next, so yeah, you look at that transcript from A&M, it's very much up and down based on when I was and wasn't drinking. So Scott's
legit.
Like, I can't relate. I don't drink.
I thought that same thing straight out of high school because my freshman year at Sam, I was like, man, I've been going to school early my whole life. I'll take a 7, 8 a.m. class. It's like you don't factor in the staying up late, the drinking, the practices. Like you don't add all that in. And then so like that first semester was horrible. And I think it might have been history of rock and roll. So like you said, I think I attended that class like 5 times. Well, it's not good because it starts like all the way back in like the classical part. And then so you have to like, he literally plays a song in this big auditorium. And the test is like, you have to recognize the different songs and the periods that they're in. And I'm like, I didn't know anything.
I would totally do well.
No, it was horrible. I didn't recognize anything till the 80s. Once we got around the 80s, I'm like, oh, this is legit. But anything before then, Beethoven, Bach, I'm like, he's like, what do you hear the classical differences? I'm like, actually, no, it's like tasting wine. It's all wine. Like to me, like, it all tastes the same.
I still remember mine was anthropology of cultures or something, which I totally had no interest in it. I had to take it.
Mm-hmm. So my one semester of college, I did an 8:30 class, just so you guys know. I have to throw myself in there. My one semester.
Yeah. He's like, I'm part of the cool kids group.
But you're an early riser, Scott.
I am now because I have kids.
Yeah.
You weren't an early riser.
I was like, I get up early now. Back then, no.
Oh, dude, I did not, and we were at a super party school, right? BYU, Idaho.
Yeah.
Very party. Very party school.
Right. Okay.
The name tells me it has weight to it.
Didn't you guys have like a 10 o'clock curfew?
Probably. I don't remember. I don't remember. The problem was, here's the problem with me. I didn't go out. Well, I worked. I had a job. But then my wife and I decided to get engaged, and she was in San Diego and I was in BYU, Idaho. And so I didn't go out and do the nightlife because I'm like, I don't want to find another girl. You know what I mean? I'm engaged. I don't know. That's just how I felt. And that's what it was up there. It's like the girls are looking for guys and the guys are looking for girls. And then they find each other, they get married, then they go to BYU after.
It's the worst.
So. There you go. You got to upgrade your life at that point,
Yeah. So anyways, so Greg, I saw something when it's a post that you've posted a few times, I think, or maybe it's just done itself, but you have two pictures of yourself. You have one where you're kind of got a little bit of a belly going, and then you have one and you're like freaking ripped. And you're like, I'm literally 6 weeks away at any time. Like, how's that work? What's going on there? Are you only 6 weeks away? I'm like, dude, I look at that picture and I'm like, I hate Greg right now.
It's this jerk. No, I mean, it's like anything, like how they say, like riding a bike, like guys that have, like, I've literally been working out since I was like in 7th grade, like almost without any breaks, like, so my body just responds really well to like training, and so once I do start, and then obviously I know how, like the training and the nutrition, and I put all the stuff together. And I always put like a disclaimer on those pictures because guys were like, oh, like if it took you 6 weeks, I'm like, bro, no, like you haven't worked out like, since 2007. Yeah. It's like, you have to understand, like there's some different physiological differences there, but yeah, it's usually about 6 weeks. But that was man, I had never looked like that in my life. And I didn't even realize I had gotten to that point. I mean, I know why I was there, but yeah, it was bad, man. I looked in the mirror one day and I was like, what the hell happened to me? Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. So when you make those changes, because, Holly and I are on kind of a little health journey right now of just, I woke up the other day and stood on the scale and it was the most I'd ever seen in my body.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this. And, so there's little changes that I make. I can never seem to put eating right and exercise together. It's like, I'm eating right. I'm just eating right. And I'm losing some weight, some of the, my body's changing a little bit, but I can never seem to put the working out together with it. Now, how important is that? So as we're going on this journey for you, when you have that 6 weeks, I mean, how strict are you on your diet, on your working out, all that stuff?
Honestly, I'll lock in. I don't always weigh and measure things because I've been doing it for so long and for so many people. But like when people are trying to go like on a journey of like getting healthy, I always tell them, like, you have to establish like, what do you want like out of it? Right. Because most people are like, I want to be healthy. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, if you're like, I want more money and I gave you $2, you have more money. Right. Like it doesn't really define anything. And so like the first thing is you gotta be honest about what you want and why you want it. Because most people will say, oh, I don't need to be ripped. I don't need to look like XYZ. I just want to. Right. So you're kind of like settling in between. And because you're settling in between, your actions kind of follow that settling. So like how you said, like you're eating, but then you won't work out because it's like, you're like, you know what I mean? You have to establish like, why do you want it? You want a V?
I want a V. That's my goal.
Why? No, I know what you mean, but like, why?
Because it's hot.
It's hot.
That's my goal. Okay,
like,
that's it. That's the only reason I want it.
Yeah. No, but that's dope.
Never had one last year. So I hurt I have an extra vertebrae in my back and I had some issues with it over the last year. So I haven't been able to work out very much over the last year. But when I stopped working out before I hurt it last August, I mean, I was very close. You could see like the abs forming, but I was putting in 2 to 3 hours a day working out. So that included
wow.
a 90-minute row. And then I would do my exercise, like 2,000 crunches and planks and everything else I was doing. So I was very close. That's my goal. It's very clearly defined for me. I know the work that is required. I know that I have to cut out certain. So I love to drink. I've had to cut out a lot of alcohol since we've started this journey again, because I finally had a procedure done on my back. So now I can work out again. Cool. So starting 3 weeks ago, that's my goal. And I was telling Scott, for me, it's like a switch in my brain where before the switch, it'll be a struggle every day to get on that rower. But then once that switch, and it'll be a struggle like to not eat or not drink the things I'm not supposed to. But then once the switch happens, it's done. Like, so the switch has happened. So now it's like I'm up to, and again, I just started again rowing after not rowing for a year. So I'm up to 60 minutes. Yesterday I rode 66 minutes. I haven't incorporated any other exercise in yet because I'm still trying to build up some stamina. But yeah.
Gotcha. So that's cool. Like, do you do the rowing because you like it, or because you feel it's necessary?
I do it because I love it, and it works out 84% of your muscles, and you get it's a good burn. It's like a love-hate relationship. And actually, I started rowing to help get myself out of depression. I went through a really hard divorce and gained a lot of weight and COVID. And then I was like, I've got to do something. Like, I'm not somebody who, like, I got pretty big, and that's not typical for me. I've always been pretty active. So I got a hand-me-down rower from some nephews and decided, okay, like, my first goal is to row for 10 minutes. And you think that is easy.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not. Yeah. So, it's well, that's what's up, man. The reason I ask is because a lot of times it's kind of like how Scott said, like, it just kind of depends on the person. Like, sometimes it's hard to start working out because in our mind we're like, well, I got to spend 3 hours at the gym and I got to do this and it's going to hurt. And it really, like, all the guys that I help, like, they train 1 hour a day, 4 days a week. That's all I train. Like, you know, like, I don't do, I ride, but I also like cycle because I enjoy it. Like, I don't cycle because I think it's going to burn any extra fat. It's just, you know, but yeah, I mean,
I understand
because you love it. Like, hell yeah.
Yeah. And I understand that, like, a lot of people don't have the time that I have. Like, I work from home. I have a hydro rower at home. I work out with my body weight and dumbbells at home. And because of the nature of my job, I can work out 3 hours a day. Like, that's, and I don't even know if 3 hours a day is even beneficial. But I don't necessarily do it as like, I have to be burning this whole time. I do it because I enjoy it. And I also, when I say 3 hours, it's because I'm taking my time between sets and, you know, stretching and all of that. I don't know, because I hear like 60 minutes is the ideal time. But for me, I just do it because I have time to kill. I'm bored.
Yeah. No, that's why I asked. It really depends. Like, if people are doing it for a specific reason, like, you just got to understand the reason. If you're like, hey, I love doing it and I love being in the gym, by all means, like, you know, keep doing what you're doing. But it's different for some, because then they're like, in their mind, they're like, well, I don't really want to be in here that long, but I think I need to be. And then so that's what kind of like deters people from actually getting started. And then so when we talk about an hour, it's like, because I have like plenty of rest in between my sets and stuff. Like, I walk out of there, I'm not like dying on the floor. You know, it just has to be structured in a way to where you're in and out, very intentional. And, you know, like I said, if you enjoy the 3 hours, then keep crushing it, you know? I
think there's like as somebody who's not an avid like guy who works out, I mean, I go to the gym. I had been going to the gym every day. How good of a workout am I getting? I don't know, but I was there. And I think that there's just in my mind, there's this thing of like, if I didn't work out long enough, then it probably wasn't good, you know, but if I worked out too long, like that's probably what I need to do, but I can't work out for that long. And then I didn't work out long enough. And so you just end up, like you said, you just stop going or you don't get started because you can't give the time you think you need, when in reality, the best workouts I ever have are like 45 minutes. You know, they're the hardest workouts. You just give them, give a good hard 45-minute workout. And, you know, that's,
I also like having shoulders. That's why I wore the same to show off my beautiful shoulders right now. They're coming back in. They're not as beautiful as they were last year, but I'm like, ooh, I have nice shoulders. So that's it. Shoulders and V. It's purely, I'm a super shallow person. I love
I agree
look good, and I want to, you know, so that's it. That's my reasoning. I don't have, it's not for necessarily like health reasons. It's also because I don't want to have to go buy new clothes. Like, I've was down, and now I had to buy some bigger clothes recently, and that made me really upset, because it's like, I don't want to spend money on clothes like that. Because it's necessity. Like, if I just want to go spend money on clothes, that's one thing. But because I have to go buy bigger clothes, now I'm mad. Because I'm like, I could have bought a concert ticket with that. So,
exactly. Yeah, I tell people that all the time. Like, I call it like Miss America pageant answers, right? Like, if you ask somebody like, why do they want to change, and they're like, well, I want to give to the world and I want to be a better beacon of light. It's like, no, you don't. You want to be famous. That's why you wanted to be Miss America. Like, like, and so you just got to admit it. Like you said, it's like, I'm shallow. It's like, that's dope. Like, because it's your reason, because I always tell guys too, like some guys will be like, well, I don't really need to look like that. And I'm like, well, dude, nobody wants to wake up. Like, do you want to wake up looking better or do you want to wake up looking worse? Nobody wants to wake up looking worse,
right?
Like every day, and so you just got to be real with yourself. Like, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I feel. And when I take my shirt off at the pool, I want to look legit. I want people to look at me.
Here's the other thing, right? I want a good looking man who keeps himself in shape. And if I want that, I'm sure he wants something similar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's also my motivation. Like, I feel like I can't expect something out of a man if I'm not willing to do the same. So if I'm not willing to put the time in and look good, I can't expect him to put the time in to look good. So
yeah, that's real. That's why a lot of times men and women that are married struggle to stay in shape because you already have the person, right? Because like as soon as like, say if we were to break up or whatever, God forbid, it's like you said, the first thing that happens is most people go to the gym. Like they're like, oh, I got to put my best foot forward. It's like, well, why weren't you doing that? Like before. It's like you get super, because I mean, our wives love us, our husbands love us, and our kids love us. And at that point, it's like you kind of lose that fire of why, and for a lot of people, it's really hard to get back, which is why so many people are unhealthy,
God, you look so guilty sitting there.
Listen, my
you just
wife
have this guilt look on your face.
I was looking at you. I wasn't even looking at this guy.
You said that, and my wife works out every day, in shape, good little physique, and I'm like, I need to do something to change all the time. All the time.
It reminds me.
Poor Val.
Back when I was 18, I had a full-time job, but I've always been the type that's had like 2 or 3 jobs. So I always have had like 2 or 3 part-time jobs. One of my part-time jobs was selling a diet supplement. I cannot for the life of me remember what it was, but it was a kiosk in the mall. And I remember I worked with a guy named Mike. And so because it was Colleen Mall, it was a lot of military. And I remember one day standing there as he's selling to this couple and he says, oh, I see you guys make up the military 10. And they're like, huh? And he's like, tall, skinny guy, short, fat wife.
Oh.
And I'm like, Mike.
Wow.
But that's what I always laugh. And I think it's when Scott, when you said that, I was like, you guys are the 10, but Val's the 1 and you're the 0, bruh.
Val's the 10. Val's the 10 straight up. And I'm a 1.
Yeah.
We're like a 110, 110. So, as we talk about this health journey, just so everybody knows, I am down 9 pounds, just so everybody knows.
I feel like though, like that's just, men always lose weight faster than women.
Listen, it's part of being a man. True. I just stopped drinking soda and boom, I dropped 10 pounds.
And that's not fair. I work out every day. I eat healthy, except last night. I had some chicken wings, but I'm never giving up chicken wings. But I did row yesterday for 6
Here's the thing about Holly. Here's the thing about Holly. She's like, I'm gonna eat right, but I'm not giving up ice cream. And I'm gonna eat healthy, and I'm not giving up cold cereal. And I'm eating healthy, but chicken wings are gonna be on my plate every night.
Listen,
like, okay.
But I don't eat it every day. Every day I eat
moderation,
healthy.
Right? In moderation.
Correct, moderation. So I did order the 21 wings special from Wingstop and figured that could get me 5 meals. So I eat 5 chicken wings. I like 5 meals.
Okay.
So
I don't know how many calories are in 5 chicken wings, but
I did that.
I figure less than 707, which is what I burned on my row yesterday. So I was good.
Yeah. You would. The easiest way is like, I tell people all the time too, is like, you got it. Like if you really, really, really want to see changes, like you have to track it. Like you have to weigh and measure it. Like, because we can try to eyeball it, but we will forever underestimate how much is really in there, like all the time.
Well, and I have the scale, and last year when I was like in the best shape of my life, I did weigh everything and all of that. And I'm like, I'm just not down for that. It was a lot of work. I'm not going to do that again. So I'm just going to row a whole lot and exercise and then just limit. So now I drink once a week and I limit myself. And then I have some chicken wings and I have 5 of them. And I feel like that's okay because I only eat an apple and have coffee. Yeah. And so I limit if I know it's going to be a day where I'm eating chicken wings, then I'm very good about what I'm going to eat up until those chicken wings. Like I'm going to save those calories, except I did have 2 drinks last night, but that's because I traded last night for tonight. So I'm not drinking tonight. So last night was my drinking night. I only drink once a week.
Well, that's good. Ava has a game tonight, 8:00 volleyball game.
I have plans. Sorry.
Oh, good one. Hey, we'll come back to some of the health stuff here in a little bit, but I did want to talk about something. There's 2 things I want to make sure we hit before our time is up. We've talked a little bit, a couple things. We may not hit them all. But the one thing I want to talk about, Holly, real fast, just give us an update. Last time you said you were going to get on an app, a dating app, and you were going to change that you were like a high-ranking official at your company, a high-ranking executive, because you couldn't get anybody to match.
Right.
And you just said, I'm going to be a podcaster. And what happened?
So I signed up for Bumble on Tuesday night after we discussed this. And instead of listing my MBA and back in grad school and, I'm a director with a tech company, I put I was intelligent, dropped all of my education and said I was a podcaster. And between Tuesday night and today, I've had 15 matches, which is more than I ever had when I listed my education and my job. And one guy dropped me today because I said I didn't believe in God, or like I'm apagnostic, and then he unmatched immediately. But I did have another guy who we were chatting, and he was super interested in the fact that I was a podcaster. And so he's like asking me all these questions. He's like, so do you do this full time? I was like, oh no, I do this. Cause I also was like, let me back up, rewind. So
I like the sound effects.
The experiment is I'm going to go out with guys, and half of them, I will tell that, like on the first date, I'll tell them I'm just a podcaster. That's it. That's all I'll like reference during the course of the date. The other half, I will tell them that that's just my side gig and I'm actually a director in a tech company and educated, blah, blah, blah. So that's experiment. So this guy I'm talking to, he asked me about the podcast, and he is a software engineer in a tech company. So he says, so is that, so he's like, oh, so is that what you do full time? I said, no, I'm actually a director in a tech company. And he immediately unmatched from me, immediately. So this guy's educated, has a graduate degree.
He's a higher up.
He's a senior developer in a tech company, unmatched from me immediately. I go on a date last night with a guy, and I am not sure how this one's going to go. It was a very short date. In the course of a date, we went out for drinks. We sit down, we order our drink, we start chatting. We're still on our first drink. And he is one that I had predetermined I was already going to say I was a director. And he mentions he's in tech. I tell him I'm in tech, I'm a director. We start kind of chatting a little bit. And he does not order a second drink. I ordered a second one. He did not. He tabs out. We leave. He says, it was nice to see you. He did text me last night a little bit, like a couple times, just about like, did you make it home? And then was the baseball game still going on at the stadium? So I don't know how this is going to go. But the whole point of the experiment is that I believe a majority of men do not want a successful, educated woman. I feel they're threatened. And I've had personal experience with this where my exes have been like, you're out of our league. So I'm just trying to prove my hypothesis. So what are your thoughts on that, Greg?
Oh, wow. On the spot, huh? I don't know. It depends on what you mean by threatened. What I found, though, too, is that there's like maybe they had, past experiences, like, with women that are like driven. Because there's like characteristics that have to go along with somebody that is driven and extremely successful. And a lot of times those tend to be like characteristics that are more masculine, tend to be more aggressive, things like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know. Like, I don't know why guys are I really don't know what's going on in a dating pool, to be honest.
It's been a while for me too, man.
Yeah, it's weird.
18 years.
I know. Yeah, I'd be out there fumbling and stumbling around. But yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know if they're necessarily threatened or intimidated necessarily. I don't know, personality wise, like I think you're awesome. Like, so I don't know. Like, I think it's a great experiment though to just kind of see. But maybe they don't want somebody that's driven and into career and a lot of different things like that. Maybe they want somebody that's at home and can take care of them and take care of the kids.
I mean, 15 matches by saying I'm uneducated and I'm a podcaster. More than I've gotten on any dating app combined over the course of months.
Maybe they think you're boring. If they just read the profile, like seriously, if you read the profile, you're like, I'm educated, I'm a director. You're like,
but here's the thing. The only thing I've changed on my profile from before to now is I changed the word educated to intelligent. And I changed director at a company to podcaster. The only change, same pictures, same everything else.
But see, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what the Bumble app looks like if you're swiping through and you see that somebody's a director at a tech company and you're educated and you put your MBA and you put all that stuff. Like to me, like I could see where it would be like, oh, this person might be boring, even though you have hair matching and all that.
Okay. Let me preface this by saying I am matching with educated, with the type of man that I would match with normally. So I'm going out there with the educated men who show that, yes, they have a degree or trade school or own their own business. Like these are the same type of men who I would normally match with, who before would not probably match with me. But now 15 matches later,
well, I mean, I would say that women and men care about like two different things, though. Like, like honestly, like most guys don't really care about the education side. Like we don't care that you have like a lot of degrees.
What do they care about, Greg?
Just the characteristics of being a woman, like, like as far as, because it's like, I heard a great analogy like a while ago. It's like, and now the analogy is escaping me, but it was talking about how, like, if I came up to you as a man and I started talking about my shoe collection, right? Like if I was like, oh, I have a wonderful shoe collection and you should see my,
and I'd be like, let's go. I love shoes. I've got like 100,000 pairs. Let's go.
Yeah. Some would, right? So like some would, but most women would be like, oh, that's cool. Like, like that's okay. It's not something that you really care about. I mean, it's cool, but you don't care. It's not something that makes you more attracted to me. Right. And then for like a man and a woman, again, like I know my wife, like she's educated and she makes her own money and stuff like that. But if she didn't, I'd still be okay because I don't look for her to like really provide financially or do anything, but that's if you're traditional minded as well. It just really depends on what they're looking for. Some guys, they can really care less about, your career. And
so
like
Scott said,
you might sound boring.
I'm going to, again, what do you guys, here, I'll read you what my profile says and you tell me if this sounds boring.
Dating advice. Dun, dun, dun.
No, I'm just curious. I'm curious. I am open to, because maybe it really is like I sound boring. I don't know.
Well, I would say that, I mean, and Scott can kind of chime in too. Like I would say that if a girl, like I think podcasters sound fun. Like you sound like you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, what do you do? Right. Like, and how long have you been doing that? It's like, it's different. So I know like a lot of guys.
I'd like to have a conversation with her because she's doing something. She's following a dream of hers. I'd like to get to know her a little bit, maybe ask her some questions about it. Maybe I'm trying to get in.
Having an MBA and being a director in a tech company can't be, I'm following a dream of mine.
It can be.
But it's
also like, that's your job. You went to school, you did that. That's a job. It's not like you're following your dream of, like if you said you owned your own business and you were doing this, then you probably would get more people too. It's just, you look at it as a job. Like that I went to school, I got a job. This is where I'm working. I could not be working there next week. You know what I mean? Whereas,
and then subconsciously, like if you think about it, like anytime like you see like the high level businesswoman in a movie, like what are her characteristics?
The same as a man. So what the fuck does it matter? Oh, but here we go. No, you're riling me up now because
no. But I think
if a woman displays those same characteristics in a boardroom that a man does, she's a bitch. But if a man has those, he's strong and aggressive.
I actually agree with you though, right? But that's what like a woman looks for in a man.
That's
right?
Like
a man
looks for a woman, though. That's just not what they look for.
Yeah, he doesn't look for that.
I don't know why.
Look for somebody that's like strong-minded, and you don't want that.
Why does the sun rise in the east?
I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. I think what you're doing.
I'm going to read you. Here we go. Okay, here's what I have. I'm 43 and on a dating app. Life has obviously gone exactly as I planned. That's funny, right? Sigma, divorced, intelligent, smartassy, interdependent, funny, passionate, intense, spontaneous, world traveler, girly tomboy, good at Wordle, better at Loodle. The only place I follow Jesus is to the local taqueria because, Jesus, Jesus. So there we go. That's it.
I'm tracking.
But I have smart, and then in parentheses, I have assy, so smart assy. And then I have the word independent, and in parentheses, I have TER to spell interdependent, fun, and then parentheses NY. So is that boring?
I think it's
I wouldn't. It's going to depend on the guy. Like, like it's.
I don't think it was boring, but I think that honestly, I think it more has to do with your job and what you do, because was that the same as it was before?
Yes, the exact same as it was before.
The only thing that's changed,
I said educated instead of intelligent.
The only variable is what you do for a living.
Right. So that brings me back full circle to a guy feels threatened by a educated, successful woman. If a woman is making more money than a man, how many men are going to stick around? Even my ex who said, I don't care if you make more money than me. I'm just saying.
I tell my wife go make more money than me.
So that's got to be the bottom line.
It's always going to depend on the guy, but like I really don't know if guys are really. I know for me personally, like there's nothing about a woman that's threatening to me. Like like it doesn't matter the amount of money that she makes. Like she can't beat me up. Like she can't. Like there's no threatening there. I think it's more so like we said, like the podcasting thing sounded fun. It sounded bubbly. It sounded cool, right? And then the other side, like we said before, like when you subconsciously think about a woman with an MBA and the head CEO and she has man-like characteristics, it doesn't make them wrong. You just have to find somebody that is okay with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
and I think there's few and far between.
Oh, there will be. There definitely will be, because it's like how you said, it's like men and women look at two different traits. Like a woman wants somebody that's masculine, that's less agreeable. You have to kind of look at, because I love talking about like the dynamics of like men and women and relationships and stuff like that. But it's like, it's like, what does a man look for in a woman versus that which what a woman looks for in a man? Generally, a woman.
But I think a lot of the things that men look for is outdated. Like I'm gonna put it out here that I think your ideals are very outdated.
Yeah, I actually agree with you.
Maybe not outdated, traditional. Like you had something on your page about being the leader of the family, and that rubbed me such the wrong way in a sense of I'm not looking for a man to be a leader or a head of household. I'm looking for an equal. So I don't need somebody to protect me. I can protect myself. Like if I have a partner, then I want them to be a partner in every sense, and that we are on equal footing. You're not making a decision for me. We're making a decision together. So I don't know if that's what your thought is. I just saw the only thing about yours that I'm going to say I thought was outdated was I saw the word leader, like the leader of the family. And I'm like, I feel like, I think like Fred Flintstone era?
No. I think, but you'd have to find somebody that would agree with your way of living. Like I always tell people too, like the people that gravitate to me are the people that think how I think, right? Like if you think completely different, 100%, that's okay, right? I don't ever argue with anybody. It's like, I can't say my way is right and your way is wrong. I think your way is right. I think my way is right. Right. It's like, it's just how I see it. I'm like, okay, well, generally we will be the protectors. Like if we're in an alley and there's like men walking up, I mean, I'd hope you wouldn't jump in. Like I need you to run and go get help because they're going to whoop your butt. And then we're both going to be on the ground. Like, you know,
well,
like,
right. But I'm just saying, like, different. I guess in the sense of, in that sense, that's different. Like, of course, I'm not going to run towards danger. I just mean, I don't know. I think that roles can be so rigidly defined. Like the guy today who unfriended me over God. Like when he brought up, like he was a vegan, first of all. So I said, is that a deal breaker?
You would have unfriended him for that.
But so not necessarily, but I just said, like, is that a deal breaker? He was like, no, like mine's for purely health reasons. I'm not going to like not date somebody. I said, so what do you consider your deal breakers? And he said, like not believing God, blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, I'm kind of a deal breaker then because I'm apagnostic, where I don't know if there's a God. I don't care. I probably believe in karma more than I believe in God, but I believe in being a good, moral, kind person and helping other people because that's just the type of person you should be.
Yeah.
But immediately he's like, okay, see ya. Where I'm like, isn't that the same thing? Isn't that what God is all of those things I've just said? But because I don't ascribe to what God is in your mind, I'm incorrect. So I don't know. Well,
I don't know if I wouldn't say that you're necessarily incorrect. I would just say that was one of his deal breakers. Right. And that's okay. Like, if he doesn't want to date you or talk to you because of that, that's perfectly fine. Like no 100%. Different than you have like your standards.
I guess what I'm getting at though, it's like, I feel like people sometimes are too rigid. So instead of taking the time, like, I don't know, like instead of
rigid, what do you mean?
Rigid in the sense that like, this is my deal breaker.
Well, you also
I don't
have to
necessarily I don't have a deal breaker in that sense. Like my deal breakers are like, you're doing something unhealthy for yourself or me, like you're smoking. Like, I don't want to be with somebody who's going to automatically increase their chances of cancer.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to be with you, let's fight that. But I'm also not going to be with somebody who doesn't believe in being mentally healthy and who is against therapy or against getting help or whatever. Like those are my deal breakers. But I don't I can't say that I wouldn't be with somebody who believed in God, even if because to me, like politics and religion are super personal. Yeah. Like what you believe has nothing to do with what I believe.
I'd say yes and no. I mean, because it's very hard to be with somebody. It's very hard to be with somebody who doesn't think the way you think, because now you're like, well, I want to go do this because I feel this way. And this guy's, I want to go do this because I feel this way. Like you're going to say, let's say the guy does believe in God and he goes to church. You're not going to want to be with that guy because he's going to say, hey, I'm going to be at church on Sunday and then I got to go on Wednesday. And then I have this activity where I work with the youth on this day.
As long as he doesn't expect me to go with him.
No, I'm not saying he expects him to go with you.
I'm perfectly fine with that. I've dated guys who are religious.
But you're going to say, I want to go do this on Sunday and Wednesday and I want you to be there. And he's going to say, sorry, I'm not going to. And now you have completely diverging paths. And you're going to say, well, that's like, it's not that it's a deal breaker. It's not that like he doesn't love you or you don't love him. It's just that we live two different lifestyles. Like you could not marry a dude that's a member of my church. You couldn't do it. Let's be real. And you shouldn't expect him to have to be married to you either to be able to, like that's a devout member of the Mormon church. You would lose your mind. And that's kind of a deal breaker. Right. And so I think everybody, like, it's not that it's outdated or it's, whatever, like there are enough people. There's 8 billion people in this world. And there's going to be people that you would match.
Yeah.
You have to find them.
You just have to
Where are
find
they?
them. Like,
Where are they then? Answer me that.
Well,
'cause I've been on every
Where-
dating app in
Where have
several
all the
states.
Cowboys gone, right? Where have all
Where
the
are
Cowboys?
I think
they?
one of the things too is that like it kind of comes down to like to understand is to forgive. Like it's like a thing that always kind of goes in my mind. So like how you said, like some people are rigid. It's like we don't know what kind of experience they had with a person prior to you, right? Like Scott said,
But
they
it's
might have
unfair that
experienced
they're
somebody.
putting that onto me.
Well,
Yeah,
it
but they
may be
protect
unfair.
themselves.
Yeah, but it doesn't like it doesn't matter if it's fair or not, right? It's just what they believe, right? Like it's just the same way that you have your set of beliefs and what you believe, and it's just like, well, this is how you said, like, I think your thought process of a leader is outdated, and it offended me, and it's just like, okay,
Oh, I was not offended.
that's
I'm going to put that out.
well,
there.
not
I just
offended, but you know,
disagree.
it's well disagreed, right? But it's just like, but it made you feel some sort of a way, right? And it's like how the response that I had was like, and that's fair. Okay, like you know, it's fine, it's okay, like because I understand that everybody's not necessarily going to agree with me. You have a completely different perspective in life than I do, right? And I can't say, well, this is how it is, and a man should be. That's like getting into a Facebook argument. Nobody ever wins.
True.
Like you know, like it's like so you just have to kind of empathize and understand that you have your set of standards and beliefs, and this person has their set of
But
standards and beliefs.
I guess the thing that gets me is I think that it seems as though just based upon my dating life, because excluding the few years I was married, I've been dating for a real long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I come full circle back to a man doesn't want. Here's what
The
what
men
I
on
believe.
the men on Bumble.
Majority of men. I've been on all sorts of dating apps. I've met guys the traditional way. A majority of men, and it's like the episode, Scott, you and I talked about where I said, I don't need a man to rescue me. Like I rescued myself. I think that's it. Like men have this mentality of being rescuers and like providers. Like, I don't need you to provide for me. I don't need you to rescue me. I don't need your money.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm with a man at this point in my life, it's because I want to be with a man, not because I need to be with a man.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a different concept than what men believe in general. That's a very general statement, but generally I think men want a woman who needs them and
we
don't
want
want a woman
needed.
who just wants them.
You want to feel needed, right? And so like if you bring certain characteristics as a woman to the relationship, and I'm constantly telling you I don't need those things, right? Like everybody wants to feel needed, right?
100%. I can say that if you were to talk with my exes, I don't think that they would have ever said she didn't make me feel needed. I'm definitely like the affectionate, like I want you to know how much I love you. We're here together, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying this is how my experiment's going. I've gotten one unmatching for mentioning what I was. One, I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I feel like the date might have been cut short.
Well, I think that I think it's a good experiment. I think it's an interesting experiment, something that, you know, we see how it goes here and kind of see where it goes from there. But, you know, I think there's valid points all around. I mean, people have beliefs and they have those beliefs. It's kind of hard to just change those. And so rather than me change all my whole belief, I'm going to just find somebody that kind of believes the way I believe.
Just move on
that's what the dating pool is for, is to find that person. And so, yes, we did go off. I didn't anticipate such a deep, angry conversation from Holly.
I enjoyed it though. That was a good segue.
It was good. But Greg, you know, we do need to wrap it up. We do need to close it out. We definitely appreciate you being here. But kind of to get into your purpose and what you do, you know, we don't like to, when we have somebody on, we don't want to like spend the whole time just saying, hey, Greg, what do you do? And tell us all about your business. Let's have a conversation. Let's let people get to know who you are, get to like the conversation, and then they'll go check you out. But you had posted something and you said years ago, you know, you were starting a business but you felt like you were failing as a husband, you were failing as a father, and you had this business going and you had time, it seemed, for all that, but not time for your family. And so you kind of went on a journey from there, and, you know, tell us about that journey a little bit and what you do, where you're at, you know, where we can find you, all that good stuff.
Cool. Yeah. So I built my fitness gym business like from like the ground up, literally. And I devoted a lot of my time to it. It actually, when you own a business, it obviously becomes your baby. And then so like I put everything that I had into that. The unfortunate part of that is that my health was failing a lot during that time, even though I owned a gym. And then my relationship was pretty bad. Like I wasn't like a jerk or anything, but I was just very not present. even when we had like young kids, and obviously it would cause like a lot of arguments and frustration and tension. And, the thing in my head is like, don't you see that I'm building all this for us? And obviously it wasn't necessarily, well, we say that, right? But then if I'm like, if it is for you, then I can't be missing things that the family's doing, right? And then, yeah, that went on for a long time. And then up until about right before 2020 happened, I started to have like this thought process or the shift because things had gotten really bad in my relationship, my marriage, obviously. And then I was just kind of like running ragged. The business the whole time was like skyrocketing, which is really cool. But what you find is that there's no amount of money that you can ever make to like quench what you're chasing. Right. Yeah. And so I'd hit a target and then I'd be like, oh, that's not good enough. And we just keep surging and keep growing, hired full teams, everything else like that. And then when 2020 happened, obviously, like I lost everything. Right. So you go from like this hustling and bustling into like, now you're stuck in the house. Literally, you can't leave. There's nothing for you to work on. Your business is shut down. And I think I kind of had like a come to Jesus moment where I started to realize how absent I had really been. And how much of an effect that had on my wife and my kids. And not only my wife, my kids, me. Right? Like I just didn't have a very close relationship with my children. There would be days like they'd go to like I'd leave before they woke up, and I'm home, but they're asleep already.
Yeah,
and that would happen like 3 days. Yeah, like you're talking about, I wouldn't see them for like 3 days in a row, and multiple times. And my son, I didn't have a very good relationship with him. He used to call me Mean Daddy. I don't know if you saw that one, but that post that I made, but that was his name for me. Like, you're Mean Daddy, Mean Daddy. That's all he ever called me. Because when I got home, I was just scolding him for things, right. Like, broke a lot of promises to my daughter. But the whole evolution of that was that in 2020, there was like a more of a focus on, if I can give 100% in the business, then I can give 100% to my family. I can give 100% to my business. I can give 100% to my self-development, all of these different things. And so now the mission is helping men realize that, because our divorce rate is over 50% in America. I think a lot of men are unhealthy, both physically and mentally. I think it's a detriment to our families. I think I know you don't like the word, but I think a lot of men aren't very good leaders because they don't even know how to lead themselves. Right. And so like I've used the whole platform of my program, podcast and everything else to like basically coach guys and help them understand, like, if you want things to get better in your life, it starts with you. Like, you're the only one that can change it. Stop looking at your wife to try to change things. Stop looking at her to improve. Like, where can you fix yourself? And then we start to notice that these guys' lives change, improve drastically. Their bodies change. They make more money. Relationships blossom. Like, so it's a cool thing.
That's awesome to, there's a few things that I've learned. Me and my wife have done therapy for about 10 years now. And we don't really do as much couples therapy anymore as we used to do. But for me, I'm like, dude, I'm like a broken dude. So I've got to continuously be moved to the right place. But I asked somebody in business one time, he was very successful in business. He had a successful family. And I was struggling kind of with those same things. Like, I'm trying to build this business and I'm not giving the time to my kids and all that. And so I said to him, I said, how did you do it? Like, how did you give time to everything? And I'll never forget this. He said, men, when they're out working, when the man's out working and his wife's at home with the kids, if that's, the setup, he's like, you get home and you think you've crossed the finish line. Like, you think walking through the door is the finish line. You worked hard all day and you walk through the door and that's the finish line and you made it. You can go, like, just be done for the day. He's like, no, like, you got to go in and now, like, you have to go be a dad and you have to go be a husband. And, but you get home and you treat your family and you treat your wife like you made it, like you finished the race. And he goes, but if you're driving home, and I was in sales at the time, and he's like, and if you're driving home and somebody calls you and says, hey, I've got a friend that wants to hear what you're selling, basically. He's like, and it's 10:30 at night and you're tired. And he says, I want to, he wants to listen right now. He goes, you'll turn your car around and you'll drive over to that house to somebody you don't even know. And you'll give them the best presentation in hopes that they buy or whatever. He goes, but you can't go home and give your wife that same energy. You think the threshold is the finish line. And that's just stuck with me. I mean, I heard that probably almost 11 years ago. And that's just stuck with me. That's something I share with, with people I know that are maybe having a hard time, because you do end up being mean daddy. You know what I mean? Like, you get home and you're like,
you do, man. It sucks, man. There are two concepts, if I can share real quick, that like have kind of like been very influential in my life. And like, one of them is like this concept of like, be where your feet are. Right. Because a lot of times guys are like, well, Greg, how do you like get so much done? Like, you pay attention to your family and you're a good husband now. Right. And it's like, you work out and you run a business and you're doing a lot of things. And I always tell guys, like, where we get this problem is that we think we can multitask. We can't. Humans can't really do it effectively. Right. Like, studies show. And so what I've learned is that when I'm in the gym, like, I'm not answering business emails. I'm not on the phone. I'm literally working out. right? I get up early so that I can get it done. And then when I'm working on business, I'm working on business. I'm not I'm not texting back and forth with my wife and shooting the breeze and hanging out and stopping and hanging out with the kids because you can't multitask back and forth. And then when I get done with all that stuff, when I'm with my family, I'm with my family. I'm not talking about business. I'm not on my phone. I'm 100% locked into them. And so it's this concept of like being 100% focused on where you're at the time, right? Because what happens is we get crossed up because we're like, well, I worked 8 hours and I feel bad for only spending an hour with my family. It's like, well, was that hour with your family? Was it high quality? Like, were you 100% locked in with them? Were you having fun or were you on your phone or what were you doing? Because that's why you feel guilty. And then the other concept that I always laugh with guys is that, like, you know, with our kids, right? If our kids had, like, and you might have heard the analogy I used before, Scott, but like our kids say they came to us and they're good at math. And they're like, you know what, Daddy, I'm going to get an A in math because I love it, but I hate English and science. So I'm going to fail those. Like, what would you tell them?
Well, that's not a good attitude to have. Like, let's change.
Yeah.
That's stinking thinking is what I'd say.
Exactly. Right. So we immediately impose a standard of excellence on them. Like, immediately. It's just like, no. These areas, like, you need to be great at all of them. And if you're not, you need to figure out how. Like, giving an excuse for anything other than that isn't accepted. But like in our lives, men and women both do it because we have our health, we have our wealth, we have our relationships. But one will be great. Like you said, like generally business is there. So, providing and stuff is usually there for men. And then from there, like we have our family life that's usually pretty steady, hopefully. And then our health doesn't exist. And then we want to say, oh, well, I'm tired. Oh, I can't balance. Oh, like, but we want our kids to listen to us, but we're living completely contradictory to what we're saying. We're being hypocrites, right? Because if we impose that standard on them, then we have to impose that same standard of excellence on ourselves. And so every day, a man and a woman, to me, should be chasing excellence in all three of those areas. And if you're not there, then you need to figure out how to solve it and get there. So that's the gist of like the whole thing that kind of like governs my behaviors throughout the day. And what I teach other guys.
I'm an overachiever.
Always excellent at everything.
I said it's a good thing I'm an overachiever.
There you go. That's what it's all about.
Well, Greg, man, we appreciate you being here with us. Where can we find you if we were to? I know you have a podcast. I know you've got all sorts of things. Where can we follow you? And we'll put all those onto the description of the show as well. But
cool, yeah, man. So the program is for men that are looking to like achieve excellence in all areas of their life. You can find me GB the Trainer, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Podcast is Becoming the Vision, where we talk about becoming the man that you need to be in order to have the life that you desire. And then if you're ready to take things like to the next level and you're like, hey, I'm tired of trying to figure this thing out on my own, it hasn't gotten me anywhere. Then you can go to virtuscollective.org. It's VIRTUS collective.org. You can fill out an application there. You can hop on a call with myself or my team, and we'll make sure we're a good fit. And then from there, we'll help some things change in your life.
Great. And it's, I've been following you for a while. I've seen quite a bit in your life, and it's pretty awesome to see that. So again, thanks for being here, Greg. We'll put all that stuff onto the description of the show. And Holly, any last words, Holly?
No last words. My last words will lead into a tangent, so I'll just smile.
It's all good. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, guys, and I even enjoyed the tangent, Holly. Like, those are really cool. I love getting into discussions like that. So that was really awesome. And keep me up to date how the Bumble thing goes, man. Like, I'd love to. Like, seriously, I'd really love to hear about the experiment.
You'll have to like and subscribe and listen.
There you go.
We will keep it on. All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. We will see you next time. Take care.
Awesome, guys. Take care.
Hey, what's up, my channel? Please hit the drop a like and hit the subscribe button. Looking for my first subscriber. Can't subscribe myself. Can't do that for some reason. I don't know why. Wish you could.